Om. 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 Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karuna Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Om Apyayantu Mamangani Vak Pranashchakshushrotramatho Balamindriyani Cha Sarvani Sarvam Brahmopanishadam Maham Brahma Nirakurya Ma Brahma Nirakarot Anirakaranamastu Anirakaranam Me Astu Tadatmani Nirateya Upanishatsu Dharmaha Te mai santo, Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Okay. So now we are in this section in Chandogya Upanishad, and we'll just review section 5. From section 5, we'll just review the line of thought so that we can continue then from section 7. So how this Upanishad is going is that Uddālaka Ṛṣī wants to tell Śvetaketu that really Śvetaketu, this whole world is nothing but existence. This whole world is nothing but existence. And what came out from existence is fire, water, and earth. So first he's reducing the whole world to fire, water, and earth, or tejo, up, anna. And then he's reducing the individual to fire, water, and earth. So we have already seen how he's done that with the world. Then with the individual, he said, first take food. Food. When we eat food, it becomes threefold. Right? This is in the 5th section. He says, Stavishtaha dhatuhu. The grossest form of food becomes our fecal matter. Then madhyamaha tanmamsa. Mamsam means our flesh. The middle portion becomes our flesh. Then anishtaha, the subtlest form of food, becomes our mind. So the subtlest form of food becomes our mind. And then he says, now let us take water. Take water. And this water also, when it is consumed, it becomes threefold. The grossest form of water becomes our urine. Then madhyamaha, the middling form of water, it becomes lohita, or blood. Anishtaha, the subtlest form of water, becomes prana, our vital airs. And then he tells Śvetaketu, now take fire. Tejaha, when we consume fire, fire meaning this consumption of ghee or this consumption of oil, when we take in these things, right, what happens is that also becomes threefold. The grossest form of that oil or ghee that we take in, it becomes asti, becomes our bones. Madhyamaha, the middling form, becomes what we call majja. Majja means marrow. And anishtaha, the subtlest form of it, is speech. So that's why they say for singers or for speakers, they should have a lot of ghee, because that helps them with their speech. So in this way, Uddālaka Ṛṣī, the father of Śvetaketu, was telling him, Annamayam hi somyam manaha, that this mind is really nourished, created, produced by food. Whatever food we take in forms our mind. Apomaya pranaha. And these vital airs that we have are really formed, produced by water. And tejomayi vag iti. And this speech is produced by the, fire. In this case, what we mean is oil and ghee. And therefore, even the individual, not only the total, is composed of fire, water, earth. So now Śvetaketu is a little bit confused. He says, but I still don't get it. How am I also fire, water, and earth? I don't get it. Can you please give me an example? And so Uddālaka Ṛṣī says, okay, Śvetaketu, let's try this experiment, right? So in the 7th section where we left off, he said, each person consists of 16 parts. Shodasha kalana, right? Of 16 parts. And therefore, he said, Śvetaketu, I want you to fast for 15 days. 15 days, don't eat. Ma ashi, don't eat for 15 days, but drink water. Because if you don't drink water, then your life will be gone. So drink water, but fast, don't eat. And then let's see what happens. And Śvetaketu did that. And he, after these 15 days, Śvetaketu went to his father, Uddālaka Ṛṣī, and he said, okay, father, now what? What do I say to you? And then the father said, well, why don't you tell me these Vedas? Why don't you tell me Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Yajur Veda? Tell me all of these Vedas. And Śvetaketu says, Nave ma pratibhanti boho. I can't remember anything. So now through the following mantras that we're going to see, Uddālaka Ṛṣī is in fact going to prove that the mind is actually made of matter. The mind is made of food. Because when the mind is there, when food is there, then the mind is there. Means we have the ability to think, to reason, to create, to remember. But when the food is not there, when food is not consumed, when we're not nourished, then the mind is also not there. We don't have the ability to know, to think, to recognize, to create. So this is what he's going to prove in the next few mantras. Now, a question might come to your mind, which I also mentioned last week, but just to remind everyone that sometimes we see our great masters of Vedanta or, Bhakti, etc. They can go days without food and still their minds are very, very strong, very much alive. Sometimes they can go days in samadhi and still when they wake up from samadhi, they're very sharp. Why is that? It's because they don't need to be nourished directly from food that we eat. They're nourished directly from nature. So from sunlight, from air, from all of nature, they get directly nourished because their mind is so subtle that even these subtle essences nourish them. They don't need this gross form of food. But for us, if we don't eat for some time, then we're quite weak and we can't do much. So now, Uddālaka Ṛṣī is going to give an example to Śvetaketu to show him what happened to Śvetaketu actually, so that he drives home this point, that the mind itself is made up of food. The mind is matter. So the 7th section, the 3rd mantra, we'll read. Tamho vacha, yatha somya, mahato abhyahitasya, eko angaraha, eko angaraha, khadyotamatraha, khadyotamatraha, parishishtasyat, parishishtasyat, tena tatopi na bahudahet, tena tatopi na bahudahet, evam somya, evam somya, te षोडशानां कलानां, te षोडशानां कलानां, eka kala atishishta syat, eka kala atishishta syat, taya etarhi, taya etarhi, vedan anubhavasi, vedan anubhavasi, ashana atha, ashana atha, me vijignasyasi iti, me vijignasyasi iti. So what is he saying? Tam ho vacha, right? So to him, to Śvetaketu, ha uvacha, the father said. Yeah, now imagine Śvetaketu hasn't eaten, he's totally zoned out. He hasn't eaten. Yatha somya, yatha, just as somya, O Śvetaketu, mahata abhyahitasya, mahata, a great big abhyahita fire. Just as of a great big fire, when you have that, and let's say in that big fire, we stop giving it fuel. So in those times, they had these great havan kunds, and what they used to do was keep putting oil or ghee so that the fire would rise up. So imagine if there's this big fire and we don't give any fuel to it. We don't give any oil or ghee to it. What happens is ekaha angaraha khadyotamatra parishishtaha. So one, ekaha angara. Angara means like an ember or a glowing fragment. Khadyotamatra. It's like the size of a firefly. It's the size of a firefly. Parishishta. It remains. So that big fire now is down to a size of a firefly. Just a little ember. Syat tena tatopi na bahudahet. And with this, by this, nothing else can really be burnt, because that big fire is now this small ember. It can't really do much. It can't really burn anything. Evam somya. In this way, O Śvetaketu, te shodashanam kalana, of these 16 kalas, of these 16 parts, eka kala atishishta syat, only one was remaining. So Śvetaketu is of 16 kinds of thoughts, kinds of functions, and we saw that last week, right? So therefore, 16 kinds of functions, 16 thoughts, and for 15 days he fasted. So for each day, one of those portions disappeared, disintegrated. And right now, there's only one small portion of Śvetaketu remaining. One small portion, which we call a kala. Taya etarhi. By that, now, Vedan na anubhavasi, means now you're not going to know the Vedas because there's only one small portion of your mind remaining. And therefore, ashana atha. Ashana means go eat. Therefore, go eat, because right now only one small thing is remaining. And after that, me vijignyasi iti, means after that you will know what I'm saying. So in other words, he tells Śvetaketu, right now your mind is this much. So whoever hasn't eaten in days, whoever hasn't drunk anything in days, don't talk to them. Don't expect anything from them. Tell them that their mind right now is khadyotamatra. It is like a firefly, and there's nothing much remaining. And therefore, they won't be able to remember anything. So his father said, Śvetaketu, all I want you to do right now is ashana. Go eat. Just go eat. And after you go eat, then what will happen is you will remember everything. And just see, it's not like Śvetaketu, studied the Vedas on a very surface level. In those days, before the Vedas were written, they were preserved through memory. So these were the things that he recited every day. People would chant the Vedas every day, and they would know a whole section of the Vedas. So they have, people's last names like Chaturvedi. Chaturvedi means that family memorized the 4 different Vedas. Yajurveda, Samaveda, Rigveda, Atharva Veda, they memorized all. If the family was Trivedi, they memorized 3 Vedas. So this was something that he was doing all the time. But because his mind was inactive, he wasn't able to access that information. So now Śvetaketu, he goes to eat. All right. So now the next mantra, number 4 in section 7. Saha, saha, asha, asha, atha hi enam upasasada, atha enam upasasada, tamha, yatkincha papracha, sarvam ha pratipede, So what happened here is Saha. Saha means Śvetaketu. Ha, he ate. Asha, asha means he ate. Atha, and then enam upasasada. Enam, to his father, upasasada, he approached. And then what did his father do? Tam, to that Śvetaketu, yatkincha papracha, whatever the father asked, whatever Uddālaka Ṛṣī asked, sarvam pratipede, everything Śvetaketu knew. So after Śvetaketu ate, whatever his father asked him, he knew everything. Means his whole mind came back. His whole memory came back. His knowledge came back. And therefore now, in mantra 5, again Uddālaka Ṛṣī is giving that same example, but now to illustrate that when there is food, then the mind is nourished. Tamho vacha, yatha somya, mahato abhyahitasya, ekam angaram, khadyota matram, parishishtam, tam trinaihi, upasamadhaya, prajvalayet, tena tatopi bahudahet. So now Uddālaka Ṛṣī tells Śvetaketu, see now, tam uvacha, tam, to Śvetaketu, uvacha, the father said. He said, yatha somya, just as somya, O Śvetaketu, mahataha abhyahitasya, again, mahataha, this big abhyahitasya, this great big fire, ekam angaram khadyota matram parishishta. If there is one little ember, which is the size of a firefly, if it is remaining, parishishtam, if it is remaining, tam, on that, trinaihi upasamadhaya, if you add some straw in it, some wood in it, upasamadhaya, if you add that, prajvalayet, it will blaze up again. So that little fire, add some straw to it. Trinaihi literally means that, straw or that grass. You add it to it, prajvalayet, it's going to blaze up again. And tena tatopi bahudahet. And with that fire that blazes up, now you can really use it for so many things. It's not some little fire anymore. You can use it because it's now really, really big, back to its size that it was before. So in this way, this is a logic of anvaya vyatireka. Anvaya means presence, vyatireka, absence, through an actual experiment. Through this whole experiment, Uddālaka Ṛṣī just wanted to tell Śvetaketu, listen, that fire, water, earth, that is in you. This body, this mind, whatever you think yourself to be, that is also matter. Outside is matter. This is also matter. So there's no use to, there's no purpose of getting so attached and identified to it. That will come later. But this is the essence, that the outside is matter. This is also matter. And how do we know that? It is because when there is food, the mind is there. When there is no food, the mind is not there. Therefore, the food is the mind, right? When there is water, then pranas are there. When there's water, we can function. When there's no water, the life in us departs. That's why they say that even if we fast, we should drink water. So here, this Uddālaka Ṛṣī is wrapping up now this thought flow in the mantra 7. He says here now, in mantra 6, Evam somya, te shorashanam kalanam, eka kala atishishta bhut, sa annena, upasamahita, prajvali, taya etarhi, vedan anubhavasi, annamayam hi somya manaha, apomaya pranaha, tejomayi vagiti, tadha asya vijagnyau iti, tadha asya vijagnyau iti. So Uddālaka Ṛṣī says, evam means in this way, somya, Śvetaketu, te shodashanam kalana, of those 16 parts, eka kala atishishta abhut. If there's one part remaining, eka kala atishishta abhut, sa annena upasamahita. If one nourishes that, upasamahita nourishes that, annena, by food, prajvali means it prajvali, it becomes nourished, it blazes forth. Taya etarhi, and by that, vedan anubhavasi, by that, you were able to know or recite the Vedas. Therefore, annamayam hi somya manaha. This mind is nothing but food. Apomaya pranaha. These vital airs are nothing but water. Tejomayi vagiti. This speech is nothing but fire. And after that, of Śvetaketu, he says, Vijagnyau means, okay, now I understand. So it took a whole experiment, Uddālaka Ṛṣī and Śvetaketu, for him to really understand what he was made of. And with this, the 7th section, this trivrit karanam means his understanding how we are also matter, that topic now is completed. Now, Śvetaketu and Uddālaka Ṛṣī, they will embark on this journey of Tattvamasi. So now they're coming to a subtler topic, the root cause of everything. Not just fire, water, and earth, but the root cause of everything. So before we enter the 8th section, let us just remember the thought flow so that we're all on the same page. How this started was Uddālaka Ṛṣī explained to Śvetaketu, Sadeva Somya idam agra asid, means existence is the substratum of the whole entire world. And by knowing existence, one knows everything. Just like when we know clay, we know pot, pitcher, glass, mug, right? Because pot, pitcher, etc. in essence is nothing but clay. In fact, they cannot exist without clay. Of gold, and he gave the example of iron to tell us that everything that we see, we hear, we smell, we taste, we experience in this world is nothing but existence alone, right? So if you take the example of gold, gold can appear as a bracelet, a ring, a necklace. It can appear as all these various names and forms, but they're all nothing but gold. They're all gold. That's all they are, because if you remove gold from them, there's no bracelet, there's no ring, there's no necklace, there's no earring. So this is the point that he wanted to make, right? Then a question can come as to how this whole world came about. If everything is nothing but existence and existence alone, why are there so many names and forms? How did this world come about? So then he explained this Sat, this existence visualized. So that Sat is Chit, and it visualized this world. And the first product that comes out when Sat visualizes and with the power of Maya, the first product that comes out is fire. Then from fire, water, and from water, earth. And through fire, water, and earth, this whole world comes about. So if you look at this entire world, it can be reduced to fire, water, earth, and that can be reduced to existence. That's the idea. Then he said, now if you look at yourself also, your entire being, this body, this mind, this whole personality here, it can be reduced to the same. It can be reduced to fire, water, earth. And further, that can also be reduced to existence. So this commentary on how fire, water, earth in us can be now reduced to existence, and that commentary on how my nature is also existence, that will come in the next verses. And by the end of this, then the clarity will be there that the existence, which is the substratum of the entire world, is the same existence within me. Tattvamasi. So from sections 8 to 16, Tattvamasi will come 9 times, 1 time in each section. And in each section, he will arrive at it from a slightly different way. All right. So section 8, let us read the first mantra. Uddālaka Ṛṣī, Uddālaka Ṛṣī, Śvetaketum putram uvacha, Śvetaketum putram uvacha, Swapnantam me somya vijanihi iti, Swapnantam me somya vijanihi iti, Yatra etat purushaha, Yatra etat purushaha, Swapiti nama, Sata somya tada sampanno bhavati, Sata somyat tada sampanno bhavati. Swam apito bhavati. Swam apito bhavati. Tasmad enam. Tasmad enam. Swapiti ityachakshate. Swapiti ityachakshate. Swam hi apito bhavati. Swam hi apito bhavati. So first we'll see the meaning in short and then we'll go into it. So Uddālaka Ṛṣī. Uddālaka Ṛṣī, his name is also Aruni. Another name for him is Aruni. Śvetaketum putram uvacha. So he told his son, Śvetaketu, his son Putra, he said, Swapnantam me somya. Swapnantam me somya vijanihiti. He says, from me, vijanihi, you know, swapnantam, the true nature of sleep. So know the true nature of sleep from me. Yatra, where etat purushaha, this person, swapiti nama, the name of the person in sleep is called swapiti. So a person who is sleeping is called swapiti. And the meaning is very deep. Why? Sata somya tada sampanno bhavati. Because in sleep, sata somya, with existence, sampanno bhavati, one becomes united with existence in deep sleep. And therefore, swam apito bhavati. Therefore, the name is swapiti because swam apitaha. Swam means oneself, apitaha, one unites with oneself. Swapiti. Swam apitaha bhavati tasmat. Therefore, enam, of that sleeping person, swapiti iti achakshate. People speak of this person as swapiti. Swam apitaha bhavati, because one has attained their nature. So I'll read the translation, then we'll go into it. So Uddālaka Aruni said to his son that know from me the true nature of sleep. When a person is said to be sleeping, they have become united with existence and they have attained their own nature. Hence, people speak of them as swapiti because they have attained their nature. So here, Uddālaka Ṛṣī is saying something so profound and so beautiful that actually what happens in deep sleep is we attain to our being as Sat, as existence. How so? Now remember that example of the mirror reflection and the face, right? Earlier in the few sections ago, we saw this mantra that says anena jivena atmana anupravishya, that this existence, consciousness entered into the being. How are we conscious beings? How is it that there is consciousness manifesting in our minds? How did it enter, so to speak? It says like a reflection in the mirror. So when my original face is here and there's a mirror, automatically the reflection is there in the mirror without any effort. Automatically, it just comes, right? It's not that I do anything about it, not that I produce anything, not that I create anything. I'm just here. There's a mirror and therefore there's a reflection. And we call that reflection of consciousness or jiva. Now, in waking state, what happens is this reflection of jiva in the mirror is very much alive, very much in the waking state, in and through all of the transactions, going through everything. And in the dream state also, that reflection of consciousness in the mind, so to say, like the reflection in the mirror, is also there, partially there, less clear, because in the dream state now we're not interacting in the world of objects, in the physical world of objects. We're just imagining things in our mind. But what's happening in deep sleep is the mirror is being taken away. So the mirror, imagine now you have the reflection in the mirror, and the mirror is being taken away. So where does the reflection go? The reflection merges back with the original, correct? So when it says here that a person or an individual attains to their own being in deep sleep, it means our mind is no longer there. Our mind is no longer there. And therefore that jiva, it merges back with that sat. And this is our true essence, or our true being. This is our true identity. In deep sleep, we are able to drop everything. We're able to drop everything, all of our relationships, all of our experiences, all of our pursuits, even the whole world, even time, even space, everything we drop. So if we can be without something, it means that's not an integral part of who we are. We can be without all of these experiences, all of these places, all of these circumstances. So that's not who we are. And further, we can even be without our minds, because in deep sleep, the mind is dormant. We can even be without our egos. In deep sleep, the ego is also dormant. So in deep sleep, there is just that presence of awareness. But we don't recognize it. We don't recognize it. So in deep sleep, that sat shines in its own glory. It shines without anything else, without any body, mind, intellect, ego. It shines without any world. It shines without any circumstance. It is just sat. And that's why this person is called Swapiti. Swam apitaha bhavati means that person attains to their own being and they find eternal peace. Now here, I'll read you some things from the commentary. So it's very, very nice what it says here. It says that nahi anyatra sushuptat swapitim jivasya icchanti brahmavid. The knowers of truth, they say that this deep sleep state is such a profound state. It's a profound state because this is a state where we can really, really study the reality as it is. Of course, not in deep sleep state. We cannot study reality in deep sleep state, but when we wake up, we can completely analyze it. We don't have any of these body, mind, intellect, etc. In deep sleep, there is no jiva or jagat. There's no individuality. There is no world. In deep sleep, there's no duality whatsoever. So if we think that duality or multiplicity is very real, think again, it's not there in deep sleep. If it was something that's real, it should always be there. It should always be experienced. But it's such a beautiful state because we prove all of these things. We prove the unreality of all of our experiences, of the world, of the individuality, the unreality of duality. And all of us, if we think about it, also are so excited to go to sleep. To go to sleep, we will leave everybody and everything. It doesn't matter how much we love the person, right? When we want to go to sleep, we will go to sleep, which means that we love that state the most, because that's our eternal place of rest. That's our abode. And that's why we love it the most, because that's where we find most peace. So no matter how great the evening was, how amazing the person is, how beautiful the, the circumstance is. We will leave everything to go to sleep, because that is where we find our place of rest. In fact, that's where, that's why people enjoy that state so much, because complete rest. And it says here in the commentary that we only find complete rest when we come to our nature. People get sick, they go through all of these things, and when they sleep, immediately they recover. So it's a very, very interesting thing that in this state of deep sleep, everyone finds peace. And not only that, but if we notice, everyone's deep sleep is the same. If something happened in your waking state, and I asked you what happened, you would have to describe to me, oh, today I met this and this person, we had this experience, we went here, we went there. And if you had a dream and something happened in your dream, and I asked you what happened, you would have to describe to me, huh? What happened in your dream. I, dreamt I was this, and I did this, I went here. But if you went to sleep, deep sleep, there's no need to describe it, because every one of us has the same exact experience in deep sleep. It doesn't matter what kind of body, what kind of mind, what kind of, place, person we are. We all have the same experience in deep sleep. And in fact, in deep sleep, there are no barriers. There are no barriers of any mind, of any body. It's completely this unconditioned sat, this unconditioned existence. There's no divisions in it. It's unlimited pure being. So therefore, in this state, this sleep, one attains themselves. And here it says that it is the removal of fatigue. Whenever we sleep, it's the removal of fatigue, of tiredness, of exhaustion. And when we wake up and we go into the world and we try to remove our fatigue, our tiredness and exhaustion, we will never find a way to do it. We won't find a way to do it, maybe temporarily. But when we go to sleep, when we go to our own abode, our place of rest, we will find that rest, complete rest. So therefore, this is Sat. So what is Sat? Not only the substratum of the world, but it is that abode that we experience in deep sleep. Except we are unaware that we are experiencing it. Some might also ask this question, what is the difference between deep sleep and samadhi? Because even in samadhi, we attain to Sat, that pure being. But the difference is in samadhi, we are very much aware about it. We're very much aware about it. So in deep sleep, when we enter, the mind is in complete tamas or inertia. So the mind doesn't even know that I'm entering into Sat. But when we wake up, we understand that is Sat, that is reality. In samadhi, when we enter into samadhi, it's out of sattva, a very pure state of mind. And so we are very much aware that we are entering or we are merging into Sat. And when we come out of deep sleep, we feel refreshed. So I don't know what happened. This is our expression. I don't know what happened. All I know, I was in bliss. When we come out of deep sleep, this is our expression. When we come out of samadhi, our expression was or is, I am that pure being. We're very much aware of what happened. I am pure being. And thus, coming out of samadhi, that whole mind, that whole ego, the whole world is falsified. When we go into samadhi with knowledge, we also come out of samadhi with a stronger knowledge. the stronger knowledge, because now it's more deeply rooted. But when we go into sleep, it is out of ignorance. And so when we come out, it is ignorance only. Unless we do this analysis like we are doing now. So now, to kind of show us this in an example, to illustrate further in an example, Uddālaka Ṛṣī is giving Śvetaketu this parallel. So Uddālaka Ṛṣī, the great thing about him is he gives a lot of examples. So it becomes very clear in our mind. So mantra number 2 now. Sayatha Shakunihi, Sayatha Shakunihi, Sutrena Prabaddaha, Sutrena Prabaddaha, Disham Disham Patitva, Disham Disham Patitva, Anyatra Ayatanam Alabdva, Anyatra Ayatanam Alabdva, Bandhanam Eva Upashrayate, Bandhanam Eva Upashrayate, Evameva Khalu Somya, Evameva Khalu Somya, Tanmano Disham Disham Patitva, Tanmano Disham Disham Patitva, Anyatra Ayatanam Alabdva, Anyatra Ayatanam Alabdva, Pranam Eva Upashrayate, Pranam Eva Upashrayate, Pranabandhanam hi somya manaha, Pranabandhanam hi somya manaha, iti, iti. So we'll see the words first. So he says, Saha yatha, just as Shakuni. Shakuni here is a bird. Sutrena prabaddaha. Sutrena prabaddaha. Prabaddaha means this bird is tied, sutrena, by a string. So imagine if there's a bird tied by a hunter's string. Disham disham patitva, right? After flying in various directions. Anyatra ayatanam alabdva, and not finding anyatra ayatanam, another resting place. Bandhanam eva upashrayate, it comes back to where it was tied. So this is some kind of unique example. This bird is tied to a string, or we can say tied to a pole. And after attempting to fly, to try to fly to different places, it really cannot, because it's tied to this pole. It's not finding rest. It's not finding rest. So what it ends up doing is it comes back to that string or that place where it's tied to. Evameva khalu somya. In the same way, O Śvetaketu, tanmanaha, that mind, disham disham patitva, flying to so many directions. Anyatra ayatanam alabdva, unable to find its abode of rest or peace. Pranam eva upashrayate. Prana here means sat. Existence alone, upashrayate, is where it rests. Prana bandhanam hi somya manaha, means that sat alone is the home of the mind or the jiva. So just as a bird tied to a string after flying in various directions and finding no resting place elsewhere, takes refuge at the very place whereto it is tied, even so, dear boy, that mind, after flying in various directions and finding no resting place elsewhere, takes refuge in prana alone. Prana means sat, existence alone. For the mind is tied to sat. So now, how do we think about this? So what Uddālaka Ṛṣī is trying to say is, we can go anywhere. We can do anything, but we will be like these birds. Our minds will be like these birds, flying to so many places, flying to so many directions, and unable to find rest. So every day in waking state or dream state, whatever it is, we can pursue whatever we want, but we will never ever find that ultimate peace or place of rest until we rest in our nature. Why? Because right now, the kinds of things that we're pursuing are thought-based. So my happiness is thought-based. Right now, let's say in winter time, my idea of happiness is what? Is maybe staying home, maybe watching a movie, maybe just relaxing. But in springtime, my happiness will be quite different. Maybe it will be going out, going for a hike, going in the garden. In summertime, maybe my happiness will be different. It will be going to the beach. And in this way, every time my happiness, my thought of what makes me happy changes, I keep chasing that. So in the winter, I'm chasing something else. In the spring, I'm chasing something else. In the summer, I'm chasing something else, just to find that 2 minutes or 3 minutes of peace where my mind is going to settle down. And then after that, in the fall, I'm chasing something else. Or in my life, when I'm single, I'm chasing something else. I'm chasing a really robust career. And then I'm chasing to be able to have a family life. I chase that. And then after that, I'm chasing my dream to have children. To have children. Now I'm chasing my dream to have them have a good education and everything like that. And in all of these chases, I keep going from place to place to place to place, from time to time to time, from circumstance to circumstance to circumstance. But I can't gain that full rest. I'm able to find glimpses of that rest, maybe in deep sleep, glimpses of that rest. But that full rest, I will not get until I rest in self, until I rest inside. So whenever our happiness is thought-based, it's based on the thought of where we find joy from, it is going to be temporary and it is only going to give us more restlessness. But whenever our happiness is nature-based, based on our own true nature, then that will last. That's a lasting kind of happiness. So every time there's a superimposition that this will make me happy and let me run after it. We can run after it. We can go for it, no problem. But remember, another thought will come that this will make me happy. And why not run after it? And again, I will go after it. This is what is meant by disham patit. You keep running and running and running and running. Anyatra ayatanam alabdha. Not finding any place where I can just be. But when we come to Sat, it is a place beyond any place, I suppose, beyond any time, where we can just be. So the idea here is this jiva, this individuality, who, you, me. We are going to keep roaming about until we come to our real nature. We're going to keep having all of these programs, all of these desires, all of these dreams to expand ourselves until we realize that actually we're infinite. There's no need to expand ourselves through getting more wealth, through getting more and more property, through getting more name and fame, and through getting more and more stuff. There's no need to expand our egos because we are in nature already infinite. There's no need to want to be the wave if you and I are already water. Imagine our nature is this undivided, infinite water. So still, so calm, so peaceful, so deep. And yet, being that, we're still catching waves. So therefore, Uddālaka Ṛṣī says, Prana bandhanam hi somya manha, which means the self is one's only true refuge. It is our only support and our true home. Next, Uddālaka Ṛṣī again will go through food and water and the root of food and water and tracing it slowly, slowly to existence. So every which way we see, Uddālaka Ṛṣī rather, is tracing everything back to existence. Okay. So with this, we will stop here today. So just 2 points to keep in mind, that actually when we are in deep sleep, we are one with Sat. What a very beautiful thing. That doesn't mean we have to go to sleep all the time. Huh? That just means that every day we are one. We can feel our oneness, or there's proof of our oneness with that ultimate reality. The second point is that we can roam about as much as we want, but we will not find true rest until we rest in our own nature. And that is pure being, pure existence, Sat. Stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyati. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Namaha. Hari Om.